Farmsteaders.
Hola.
We are Mac.
And Jose.
And welcome back to Upper Country Farms.
Yep.
We are a market garden up here in the beautiful Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We are trying to make a living farming while also doing all of the cool homesteading stuff that goes along with it. And Jose, what is today?
Today is Tuesday.
Very helpful, Jose. It is absolutely Tuesday. More importantly, Jose, what day is today?
Today is our first day for planting.
Our first day of planting, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It is going to be over 40 for 3 days in a row.
Wow. Woo!
I know. We don't get that very often up here. Even the next 2 nights, not even supposed to drop below freezing.
Yep.
Now remember, our last frost date is still over 2 months away, so we still have a long haul. But we do get to get started on our planting today. A couple of things need to happen before we do that.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get, we're standing right now in our germination room.
Mm-hmm.
We only use our germination room about 2, maybe 3 months out of the year. It's just a little room in the corner of our house. It gets a lot of light, and we can keep it very warm. We keep it between 75 and 80 degrees in this room because that just helps our plants germinate. We get really good germination rates in here. So the first thing we need to do though is we have moved a shelf out of here into the garage, but we need a lot of shelving space in here because all of it will be filled with trays over the next 2 months as we're really getting into the groove of the season. So this is the shelf we have to move. The only bad part is it's tucked back here in the corner, so we're gonna have to move some stuff to get it out of here. But we used this shelf all summer long to store our totes for the farmers markets, so we could clean them, set them up here, let them dry. It's a great shelf, but I think this year what we'll end up doing is buying 2 shelves for in here. We need a lot of storage. We go through a lot of totes in the summer, and we want to keep everything really clean and dry.
Yeah.
So we're going to clean this off and get it moved. The other thing that needs to happen is last year we took apart our planting table. And so we need to get that reset up. Otherwise, we have no place to get our plants started and do all of our soil and that kind of stuff. So we have to go out to the greenhouse and get that done.
Almost.
Okay, so the planting table is complete.
Yep.
So we have our 2 projects done for this morning. That shelf needs to be moved. This needs to be done. And now we are going to go have lunch really quick because it's lunchtime. And then comes the fun stuff. Then we'll start making soil blocks and doing some planting. But I'll tell you what, I've been watching the temperature gauge in the greenhouse, and it is literally climbing about 1 degree every 5 minutes, and it's currently 45 degrees in there, so it's going to be very warm to be working out there today.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Okay, and then, of course, the planting has got to happen. So in the next 3 days, we have a lot of stuff we're going to be getting started. I brought a little list just to talk about it. Most of these are the cool season crops because it is still a little too early to do our summer crops. We can't put most of our summer crops in the ground until right around the last week of May. So we're about 10 or 11 weeks away from that right now. So we'll wait another couple of weeks on those. But this week we are going to be planting all of the early season crops that'll be going in the hoop houses. So we have our kohlrabi, cabbage. These are short season crops.
Yeah.
So our cabbage are only maybe 50 days to harvest once they're transplanted. So this gives us an opportunity to have some very early vegetables at the farmer's market. So the kohlrabi, the cabbage, we're going to be doing some kale. So we have greens. Spinach will be going in today, which, oh, who doesn't love some fresh spinach from the garden? And then some different lettuce heads will be starting because people love, I think when people can start having fresh salad in the spring, it's one of their favorite things.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and Jose keeps asking me when we're planting what?
Onions.
Oh, we love onions around here. Last year we planted 2 beds, and this year we're going to more than double that. I think we're going to go from 2 beds to 5 beds. That doesn't include our green onions. We'll do 2 additional beds of green onions throughout the season this year because people love green onions and they're super early to go to the farmer's market. I wanted to show you how we will be planting today. Almost exclusively here on the farm, we use soil blocking. I love soil blocking for the fact that we have to use very little plastic. It transplants easily into the ground, and I have almost no problem with transplant shock when it comes to getting things out in the garden. The soil blocking to me just outperforms everything else at this point. So when we're doing the soil blocking, we do them in these trays that have the graded bottoms on them. And then I try to buy one that's a little bit stronger. You can buy them where they're real flimsy, but I like them where they're a little bit stronger. Later when we do tomatoes, we use these ones from Grow Organics that I really like. These are a 17-inch by 17-inch tray. I can get, I believe, 64 8x8 soil blocks in here, so I think 64. I really like these. This is my preferred method. But today, because we're planting just 50 of every start, we'll be using these little bit smaller ones. I can get exactly 50 soil blocks in each of these. And through the summer when we're doing our starts and we're starting them here in the greenhouse, I won't do anything else. I'll just put them in here and put them directly out on our tables. But because these are going into our germination room and I don't want water dripping out from the bottom, we'll put them into these 10 by 20s that don't have any holes in them, so the water can't get out. So these just nestle right down into here. For our onion starts, we do those in flats. So we're just going to fill this with soil, put this, just sprinkle the seeds in, put a little bit of soil over the top, and this is how our onions will grow. Also, these have holes in the bottom, you can see, so the water drains out. And these again will have to go inside of a second 10 by 20 with no holes. The last thing we're doing today, which I'm very excited about, we did not do this last year, we're going to try doing the paper pot transplanter with our spinach. So we are using the 4-inch paper pots. So this would drop one plant every 4 inches. Which I'm excited about, and then we'll be using the paper pot transplanting trays, which of course they're different size than everything else. And these, we do not have bottoms with no holes in them, so they're just going to have to go into the germination room just like this. Okay, so then let's talk about tray labeling. There's a lot of different ways to label your trays. One great method is to use the blue painter's tape just on the edge of your tray. We do large volumes of seed here, so that would work for us. If you do just a couple of each plant, you're going to have to do something a little different. We use these, and I put a lot of information on these little blocks. Of course, what's planted in that tray. Then I put which bed it's going to get transplanted into, so we can easily take it from here out to the hoop house or out to the garden, and I don't have to be available for somebody to wonder where that tray is going. So always the location that it's destined to go to, and I always put the date of planting on here and the date we're hopefully going to plant it out. That just makes life so much easier if it's in here and I'm organizing. I don't have to check sheets or look to see what needs to go out next. It's already dated on here, and I can line up the trays in an order that makes it easier when we're planting out into the fields. So some of the onions we're going to be doing over the next couple of days will be we're going to do some shallots. We're going to do a purple variety of onion, which they're my favorite. We're going to do a white variety, Sierra Blanca. And then we do 2 different storage varieties, Yankee and Patterson. They did really well for us last year. And then, of course, you've got to have those sweet onions. So we are doing Ailsa Craig's and Walla Walla sweet onions. I cannot wait for fresh onions out of the garden. They're some of my favorite. And we are still eating the onions from last year. They have held up downstairs in the basement really well. So we'll probably have fresh onions. Well, they're not really that fresh, I guess, but we will still have onions here to eat on the farm for a few more weeks before we run out, and we are almost out. That's why we're planting so many this year.
We need more.
For starting our seeds here in the greenhouse, we use this. I would say it's a local compost company. They're not really that local. They're downstate, which that's pretty much a whole nother state if you're from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So we're going to use this Seed Starter 101, probably 2 bags, maybe 3 bags into this wheelbarrow, and then Jose will bring me some buckets of water. We don't have our irrigation system hooked up yet, so it's just hauling buckets of water. Thankfully, I have Jose around to help me out with that. Okay, so one thing about seed starting, you need a lot of water in your soil. I find generally if I have the wheelbarrow pretty full, it takes 1.5 of these buckets to get the soil to the consistency I want it. So we're gonna go ahead and dump 1 full bucket in here. Soil drinks up a lot of water. And you really want your soil pretty moist to be doing soil blocks. I like to mix up my soil by hand, but I'll tell you, if you use your hands, it's going to rip up your skin. So I put on some gloves. The other thing is gloves make it really convenient when it's super cold out and you don't have to have your hands down in that cold, wet soil for long periods of time. Last year we couldn't get trays for soil blocking, so we ended up using a bunch of the cell trays. And once I switched over and got the trays for the soil blocking, I've never gone back. It was the first time I'd ever soil blocked. And I just find almost for everything, it's a better option. So as you can see, that water did very little. It's still pretty dry in here. We're going to put in another 5-gallon bucket. Another half a bucket. So the biggest barrier to starting something new is just getting started. I think sometimes that first step can be really difficult. But what I'm telling you is with a soil blocker, if you've never used one, just give it a try. I think a lot of people struggle or are intimidated because, you know, you need to get your soil right. We're using a pre-made soil starter, which I'd say if it's your first time doing anything like this, you probably want to do that. It'll make your life a little bit easier. As you get more advanced, you can mix your own soils. There are a lot of different people on YouTube that do that, or just websites to tell you what to mix into your soil mix. We have found that this 101 from Dairy Dude does an incredible job. I don't know that we could do a better job. We could probably do it a little bit cheaper, but I think anytime you factor in your time, especially when you're a farmer, everything has a cost. So for us, I think the extra cost of doing a starting mix just makes sense for us. The other thing is, don't be afraid about, oh, you can come in. The other thing is, don't be afraid about how much water you put in. You know, people are always asking, well, is the soil too dry? Is it too wet? If it's working for you, go with it. After a year of doing it, I can pretty much by feel know if it's got enough water in it or if it's too dry. So you just trial and error, get in there and do it.
Oh, you need more water, okay.
And then no more water. Actually, this is a little on the wet side, I think. So you can see this soil is pretty moist. It's almost like Jell-O. It jiggles like a bowl full of Jell-O.
Hi, are you excited? Huh? How you feeling? It's warm, huh? I know.
Day number 2.
Yep.
Yesterday we got 12 trays seeded. That doesn't seem like very much, but we only worked for about 2 hours out here. We had other things going on, so it was just kind of a short afternoon of seeding. Today we have another maybe 12 trays of onions to do and a couple of trays of spinach.
Ooh.
So we're going to get started on that. And today's an easier... Wow, those chickens are loud. Today is an easier day because we don't have to soil block.
Oh yeah, super easy.
Yeah, we just... for the onions, we just fill the trays with the holes in the bottom. Jose sprinkles about 500 seeds per tray. We cover that with a little bit of soil and move it out to the germination room.
Yeah.
So it's actually an easy day. No counting out seeds.
Just 3.
Yeah. The only seeds we'll be doing in the rows are going to be the spinach today. And that goes pretty fast. All right, Jose, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Wow, what's up with the roosters?
Oh, they're happy.
They are happy. Okay. Day number 3 of planting.
Yep.
So it's been a busy couple of days. Yesterday we did 12 trays of onions, 2 trays of spinach. Today we are going to do several trays of bunching onions.
Yeah.
Now bunching onions grow a lot quicker because you don't need to get the bulb on the bottom. And they are super early to bring to the farmer's market and people love them. We made a lot of money on bunching onions last year. I wouldn't say it was like a item that changes our life, but it's a solid $50 to $100 at every farmer's market. So you really want to be bringing bunching onions. Today we're going to do maybe 6 or 8 trays. It depends on when Jose is tired of counting out onion seeds. Because today is a lot more intense with putting onion seeds. We put 3 in each hole on these. So we are using the paper pot transplanter to do our green onions. And I'll tell you, it takes a little more work on the front end. But Jose, is it not easier on the back end when you're putting it in the garden?
Yeah.
It goes very quick. So we use the 2-inch spacing paper pots. We get these at Johnny's Seeds. And each of these is going to plant 44 feet, row feet. And so since we do about 5 rows of green onions and we need 100 feet, when we do a full bed, we use about 12 of these.
Wow.
But for today, because these are ones for our hoop house, we don't need that many. No. Maybe just plant 22 feet or so, because these are going to be the super early ones that'll be going to the farmer's market. So we're maybe just going to do enough to do a little bit in the hoop house. So maybe 2 trays for the hoop house, but then some that we'll plant out early into the garden. So I don't know, maybe 8 trays today. We're going to be doing 3 different varieties. We have a deep purple, which people were super surprised last year about the purple bunching onions. They were a big hit. Then we did these guardsmen last year. Oh, yeah. Now, pros and cons with the guardsmen. The guardsmen bulb out if you leave them in the ground too long. But I'll tell you where it was a plus, is once they bulbed out, so did my purple ones, and I would bunch them 3 together. They weren't real big, but for $2, people snapped those up. They loved the little bulbs. Yeah. And that was maybe mid-season, late June, early July, that those were available before I had actual bulbing onions. Big hit. And then this year we're trying these evergreen hardy whites, which are not supposed to bulb out. So we're gonna do all 3 varieties and see what we like the best. Definitely I love variety at the farmer's market. It's been a good week, Jose. Yep. So now here in the germination room, we have all of our trays that we did this week. Lots of onions, lots of kohlrabi, cabbage, lettuce, spinach. I'm so excited. And we've been keeping it temperature. It's about 80 degrees in here right now, and at night we've been letting it drop down to 65. Yeah, that's good. With cool season crops, that's a pretty good germination temperature, so we won't have any trouble with everything that's in here germinating at those temperatures. You know what I saw outside, Jose? What? On the snow, you're just starting to be able to see the tops of our beds being out there. So the snow now looks like our beds. Before, you couldn't see any shape in the snow at all, but the beds are coming. Yeah, it's the core. Yeah, I'm very excited. All right, anything else for this video? No, I'm super happy. We did a lot. What are we going to do tonight? We're going to Uncle Harry. We are sapping for the first time tonight. We tapped the trees earlier this week, but the sap has not been flowing. It takes a while for those trees to get warmed up and to get flowing. So tonight we're headed over to Harry's. Ooh. We're going to do some sapping. Yeah. Very excited. We are so glad you joined us on our first planting adventure of the year. If you are a farmer or a homesteader or a farmsteader, you live in or love the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, we hope that you will give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you following us and checking out our future videos. We're going to have a ton of stuff going on here over the summer that we'll be sharing with you. Oh yeah, we'll be busy. Yes. Again, we are Mac. And Jose. And this is Upper Country Farms. Thank you.
Pretty soon, you will see green everywhere. Hey you, hey you, hey you. Hey, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you.